Gotta love some old school Norse Germanic mythology, right? There's nothing quite like a bunch of crazy powerful pagan gods and monsters living, fighting, freaking, and being fated to destroy the world. Plenty of popular stories today are based on the many characters that populate these ancient tales, and it's not hard to see why. It's just so cool, with so much potential for epic tales, trials, and triumphs. And what a dashing hero without a terrifying beast to battle. And what's the fated end of the world without a bunch of final battles between monsters and men? I do love our little talks. Hey guys. Hello horror heads, and welcome back to the Scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host Keegan Hughes, and today we are counting down the top 5 scariest monsters from Norse mythology. Yeah, we are getting mythic. It's gonna be wicked. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more Nordic nastiness. And I'm not referring to fermented fish. Outstanding. Let's get legendary. Kicking us off at number 5, we've got the Draugr. What better place to start than with the classic national zombie variant? These are no simple shamblemen though. Draugr are serious business. I love the possible origin for the word, a pale, ineffectual, and slow-minded person that drags himself along. Remind you of anyone? They live in their graves with many different goals depending on the situation. Some will just be guarding the treasure buried with them in their burial mound, which explains all the Draugr guarding underground treasure chests in Skyrim. Others just want to wreak general havoc, and some simply just want to torment those who cause them problems in life. I can relate. In terms of physical form, Draugr are animated corpses. Unlike other ghosts, these guys basically have all the same physical abilities that they did in life, plus more. Superhuman strength, shape-shifting, and size-changing abilities, and a wild amount of unexpected heaviness can make them formidable foes too. They can slay their victims in many ways, often crushing them with their enlarged forms like a thwomp, devouring their flesh, drinking their blood, and, of course, driving them mad. They're versatile. When this becomes too much of an issue, it takes a hero to wrestle them back into their graves. Conventional weapons don't have much of an effect on these rotten rapscallions, so they've got to be forced back underground and held there. And if you're not careful, they'll swim right back up through the rock. It's been said that runestones can be implemented to keep them underground, but I prefer the decapitation and burning method. Whatever works, to be honest. Coming in at number 4, Pesta. Like pestilence, right? I don't think that's the actual origin of the name, but if the shoe fits. Pesta is the personification of the plague in the form of an old woman in a black hood. Old ladies aren't too scary on their own, but with the knowledge that any old lady wearing black could end your life with terrible disease, that's horrifying. If you spot her while traveling, you'll know it's her. Pesta isn't malevolent or evil, she just sort of brings disease with her everywhere. And she's impossible to keep away, so don't bother. Keep an eye out though. If you do see her enter a town with a rake, some folks will die. If she rolls through with a broom, make your peace. No one's getting out alive. There's an old story of a ferryman who gave a ride to an old woman. As soon as she got on, he realized exactly who it was. The ferryman asked for his life to be spared, but to no avail. Pesta told him that he would die, but because he was kind enough to give her a ride, it would be an easy death. After he dropped her off, the ferryman went home exhausted, went to bed, and never woke up. There are worse fates, I suppose. Coming in at number 3, Fenrir. Child of Loki, brother to Jormungand. This is a big wolf. The biggest wolf in Norse mythology, in fact. Prophecies foretold great trouble stemming from Fenrir and his rapid growth, so the gods raised him themselves to retain control. For a while, havoc was waylaid. However, Fenrir grew extremely fast. They tried to chain him up to keep him at bay, but the first 2 attempts were unsuccessful. The gods then convinced the giant wolf that the bindings were actually a game, a test of strength. Then the dwarves were commissioned to make a new rope, stronger than ever, with the appearance of being light and soft. Fenrir was suspicious of this chain though, and would only agree to put it on if one of the gods put their hand in his mouth as a gesture of good faith. Tyr was brave enough to do so, knowing that his hand would soon be separate from his person. And thus Fenrir was able to break free, and Tyr was no longer able to play guitar. Tied to a boulder with a sword stuck in his mouth for ages, Fenrir had nothing to do but howl and drool, creating the frothy river expectation. At Ragnarok, he will break free and run through the world, upper jaw in the sky, lower jaw on the ground, and devour everything in his path. He'll also kill Odin before being killed by one of Odin's sons. I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily want to lay eyes upon a giant vacuum-mouthed wolf eating everything and anything. Well, actually, scratch that. If it's the last thing I'll see, I'm pretty down. Coming in at number 2, we've got Jormungand, the giant snake living in the ocean surrounding Midgard, so large that it encompasses the entire world and then eats its own tail. Ouroboros, baby. As I previously mentioned, it's the sibling of Fenrir, which is kind of odd considering one is a wolf and one is a snake, but hey, Loki liked to get freaky. Jormungand is famous for having a wicked rivalry with Thor and engaging in many legendary battles with the hammer-wielding thunder god. One of said tales has Thor fishing in the sea for the serpent. He snags it, starts pulling. As it gets closer to the surface, the giant Hymir becomes terrified. He sees Jormungand dribbling blood and poison and decides to cut the line, sending the snake back to the depths. Thor was not happy about this development. He got his rematch later on though, of course, when the two met during Ragnarok. One telltale sign that Ragnarok is coming is the violent unrest of the seas. This happens because our slippery pal here has released his tail from his mouth and begins to thrash around and then flop on land. Once this happens, it will spit poison to fill half the earth. The snake and the god do battle, with Thor emerging victorious, but then succumbing to poison. Lose-lose, fellas, that's not the way we wanted this to go. Another fun fact about the gigantic serpent is that continental Germans used to attribute earthquakes to his movements, which is especially terrifying in context. Imagine you're a German peasant and an earthquake rolls through. Your house? Rubble. Your wife? Pancaked. Your crops? Shaken, not stirred. And what explanation do you have? Oh, it's a snake bigger than anything you could ever imagine? Cool. Good to know that's just slithering around beneath us and could surface at any moment. I definitely won't live the rest of my life in crippling fear. And finally at number 1, Sirt. In the beginning, there was only the blackness of Ginnungagap. Then Sirt appeared out of the darkness with his flaming sword and touched land. It lit up and became the land of fire. Eventually it came close enough to Niflheim, the realm of ice. This contact warmed and melted the frozen earth, revealing Ymir, the primal frost giant, along with the great cow. And thus life was created with the meeting of ice and fire. Just wait though, because like any good parent will tell you, I brought you into this world and I can take you out. Ah, memories. Sirt is a fire giant who played a part in creating life and also shows up during Ragnarok to do 2 things. No, not kick ass and chew bubblegum. He's fated to kill the god Freyr and be slain by him in return. This and destroy the world with his flaming sword. Yeah, it's pretty terrifying. A massively destructive parental figure with a fire blade. He's not mad, he's just disappointed. Yeah, those are some wicked scary Norse monsters and mayhem causers. When Ragnarok comes, I don't even know which side to take. Probably not the Draugr. Other than that, it's up in the air. Well, maybe the Draugr. What do you think of the list? Any mythic monsters I missed? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more ironclad ones from top 5 scariest SCP monsters that managed to escape. Part 3. Jason Podell says Series 6 launched, yes! Hell yeah, brother. Now go and read some hot and spicy new SCP entries while there are still some mysteries to solve. Kazuma-kun says the winner of the ultimate showdown should be SCP Infinity, aka Mr. Rogers in a bloodstained sweater. So are you saying it's the ultimate showdown of SCP Infinity? Yikes. Undead says, I have a question. I'm a CIP, means I can't feel pain. Do I also classify as an SCP? You're gonna have to take that up with the research division. Maybe an MTF will swing by and let you know. The Dorkster King says, if this gets shouted out, I am gonna. There's no reason for this too, but yeah. You're gonna what? What are you gonna do? And James Vance says, if part of your job is to contain something, then how the hell did these critters get out? It's kind of like asking the police why crimes still happen if they're out patrolling the streets, or asking a bank how identity thefts are still going on despite modern security. If an SCP wants out, it's gonna do everything in its power to get out. And that's all the time we have for today. Before I bite down on my cyanide tooth, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more storied snakes and sword wielders. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Corpses with a corporeal. What? Bro, what am I writing these days? Audumpla. Along with a dumpla. I sound like an idiot saying that. It's gonna be so wrong too. Sirt is a giant fire giant.